They call it the lottery claims annex, but it's really a basement that forgot to stop being a basement. Fluorescents buzz like trapped flies. The carpet smells like wet envelopes. I sit behind a glass window that makes everyone louder and less real, with a thermal printer on my left and a red wax seal stamp on my right, like Faith and Punishment sharing a desk. My name is Evan Hale, 35, night clerk. I process the winners who can't wait for morning. I also keep the paper from doing things paper shouldn't do. On my first week, Ms. Greer, the supervisor who never blinks all the way, gave me the only rule she said out loud. Never say the 6 numbers, Mr. Hale. Not together. Not after dark. Not for any reason. She tapped the glass. Numbers can be roads. Don't pave one with your mouth. It felt like theater until I won. Not here. Not on camera. A corner store near my apartment. I pick them the way people pretend they don't. Birthdays and dates that make you ache. When the app confirmed it, 6 for 6, my throat went hot and hollow. I did what the articles say. Lawyer, blind trust, no sudden purchases. I did one other thing I'm not proud of. I started testing my family. A little call to my sister with the new SUV, one to my father who lectures through compliments, one to my cousin who always has a sure thing. I'm short this month, I'd say. Rent and some medical bills. 5,000 would save me. I took notes. Who offered grace? Who offered advice instead of help? Who offered nothing at all? I told no one about the ticket, not even Marta. Marta Ortiz cleans the annex nights for a contractor the state pretends it doesn't use. She is small, quick, and kind in a way that makes you suspicious until you're not. She hums boleros to the vending machine to shame it into working and leaves a mug of anise tea on my desk when the air goes sharp. She calls the annex La Barriga, the belly. Things digest here, she says. Slow. It's 11:47 p.m. when the lobby empties and the building remembers its posture. The TV over the chairs plays a silent news loop. The anchor smiles like she has great teeth and terrible dreams. I staple a stack of responsible gaming brochures and pretend not to hear my phone buzz. Dad again, wanting to talk through options instead of helping. I flip it face down, and the printer wakes without being told. Chit, chit, chit. Blank slip curls into the tray. Only it's not blank. The heat hasn't darkened the paper, but indentations run across it in tiny graveled letters, as if text has, "Wait now." I angle it under the desk lamp. Evan Hale. 5,000. The air tastes like burning paper and pennies. The smell arrives so fast it feels like it was waiting in my lungs. From the hallway, Marta pauses her cart. "Huele eso?" she calls softly. "You smell that?" "Old breaker," I lie. She wheels closer and peers at the slip through the glass. "It likes names," she says, as if we're talking about a stray dog. "And sums." A nod to the red wax. Stamp. Seal it if it starts writing in front of you. Don't let it finish a thought. I don't ask her what it is. Everyone here has their own noun. The rotary phone bolted to the cinder block wall rings once and stops. It only does that when it wants a conversation to feel like your idea. I pick up out of habit. Claims annex, Evan speaking. Breath answers. Not static. Breath, band limited to copper, 303K if you're thinking like an audio tech. Then, Ev, my sister's voice, almost shaved of warmth. Can you read them to me? I can email the results, I say, because scripts make you feel safe. The 6, the voice says. Say them. We'll be lucky together this time. I look at the machine that pulls winning combos from plastic bubbles and broadcasts them to strangers' living rooms. It's unplugged. There are no balls. There is no drawing. But the part of me that used birthdays and ache leans toward the receiver anyway. The numbers are right behind my teeth, already counting. Greer's rule pushes up from memory like a hand under my chin. Never say the 6. I hang up. The bell inside the phone gives a hurt little ting, like metal with feelings. The printer wakes again. Another slip. Same ghost letters, different name. Martha Ortiz. 3000. Stand so fast, my chair rolls into the credenza. Marta frowns at the motion. I flip the slip face down. What does it want? I ask. She shrugs like a prayer. Matching. Ledger likes equivalence. She taps her heart. If you ask for 5, it looks for 5. If you promise 3, it looks for 3. If you say the 6, road, I finish. She points to my mouth and then to the red wax seal. Don't pave. The phone one rings again. I don't touch it. The printer whirs and stops and whirs as if learning a new breath. The smell thickens until I can taste tarnish. Greer appears in the doorway like someone a photo forgot to develop. She doesn't ask what we're smelling. She sets a little spiral ledger on the counter between us, its cover softened by years of thumb. Inside, on the first page, in stern printing, Rule 1, never say the 6 numbers out loud. Beneath it, in not Greer handwriting, a smaller line. Numbers are roads. Names plus amounts are promises. Don't give it both. Greer taps the printer. With a single knuckle. Knock, 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 pause, knock. The annex answers with a low, agreeable hum, like a throat clearing for an announcement. Midnight gets curious, she says. Don't feed it. I can handle a phone, I tell her, the way men say things. She looks not at me, but at my mouth. I'm not worried about the phone. At 11:59, the building draws one long breath and holds it. The printer's green light steadies. The rotary waits like a dog that knows a new trick. In the stillness, the 6 numbers arrange themselves. In my head, like a road, I could walk in the dark without tripping. That's when the thermal paper spits a third slip. The indent is deeper, like something pressed harder from the other side. Dad. Here the copper taste becomes a warning and a dare. Midnight's close, Marta whispers. Rule 1, Greer says, and lays the red seal on the counter like a weapon. I haven't earned yet. I don't look at the clock. I don't look at my phone. I keep my teeth together like a door that remembers its hinges, and I practice not building a road with my voice. Midnight doesn't arrive. It settles, like dust on a ledger. The annex holds its breath. Fluorescents quit their insect song. Even the AC stops negotiating with the walls. The thermal printer blinks green and stays very still, the way a snake does when it decides you're interesting. Greer flips open the spiral ledger and turns it toward me. The first page is neatly lettered. Below Rule 1, someone has penned a second line in a hand that feels fast and careful. Rule 2, never write a person's name and an amount on the same page. Numbers are roads. Names plus amounts are promises. Don't give it both. My stomach drops because I already did. There's a cheap notebook in my drawer, the one I used for my experiment. Every ask, every answer. Dad, 0. Lisa, talk to Paul. Jason, ghosted. I kept score to convince myself it wasn't petty. It was data. The notebook hums in the drawer now, a tiny, eager vibration. The printer chit-chits and feeds a fourth. Slip. The letters aren't printed, they're pressed, as if a hand from the other side is writing on air and letting gravity do the rest. Lisa Hale, 0. Then a fifth, Jason Hale, 0. The smell intensifies, burning paper and pennies. It isn't just scent, it's pressure. The copper taste pushes on my tongue like it wants in. Seal, Marta whispers, already sliding the red wax tin through the pass-through. Her eyes flick to the notebook like she can hear it breathing. 2. You made promises when you wrote. Break them before it does. How? I ask. Cross them out? Crossing is still math, Greer says. You'll just make negatives. Wax the promise so it can't sum. The phone rings once and quits. The handset waits with a dog's patience. I spread the slips and thumb a fat smear of wax across Dad, 0. For a heartbeat, the wax refuses like oil on water. Then it takes, red bright and arterial. The pressed letters turn pale under it, as if a tongue said, no there, and the paper believed the printer objects. Chit, a shorter strip this time, as if it can't get air. Mar. The rest grinds out slow like carving. Marta Ortiz, 3,000. Hey, I say, too loud in a room that isn't making sound. No, she didn't. I didn't ask. You thought it, Marta says evenly. That's the same road. I reach for the wax, but the slip slides an inch by itself, like a check making up its mind. Greer slaps her palm over it, flat, calm. Don't chase, she says. It likes when you run numbers. The printer spits another, faster, triumphant, due by dawn. All the tiny hairs on my arms stand like they heard their name. Marta's voice is steady in a way I want to borrow. Rule 3, she says, and taps the ledger. Greer turns the page. The lettering is older here, grooves deep as habit. Rule 3. Return what you borrowed or promised by sunrise. If you can't, don't make the promise. What did I borrow? I ask. Stupid because I know. Her name, Greer says. And 3,000. The lie took both. I'll cover it, I say. I stop before I tell the room I'm rich. Numbers are roads. The mouth is a paved one. Not money, Marta says gently. Not only. You borrowed faith. Hers in you, yours in them. The ledger wants equivalence. It doesn't care which side pays. The phone breathes in my ear without being picked up. Ev? My father's voice exactly. Then not at all. Say the 6, son. We'll do this right. The 3 to 3-1 knocks arrive from the glass. 3 polite taps, a pause, 1. Like the annex is teaching me rhythm. I press a wad of wax across Marta Ortiz, 3,000 so hard the tin creaks. The red spreads, glossier than it should, and the smell sours. Pennies turning to old meat. The pressed letters fight, rise against the wax as if trying to breathe through it, then sink. The slip warms under my fingers, then cools like a fever given up. The notebook in my drawer flips itself open. Paper sighs. A page curls up as if showing me its throat. There, in my tidy, guilty handwriting, the worst entry, Marta, would give if asked. 3K? Greer's knuckle taps the counter. Knock, 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 pause, knock. And the annex seems to remember itself. Fluorescents stutter back into their insect hymn. The AC coughs. A breath returns to the room that didn't come from any of us. Wax the page, Greer says. Not just the slips. I don't think. I stamp. Red on my own notebook, red across my own neat letters, sealing my prediction like a wound I deserve. The wax blisters a little, then hardens, and a line of smoke thin as hair lifts and vanishes. The smell breaks, pennies falling out of the burn. The phone is quiet. The printer sulks, green light steady, motor off. Good, Marta says, and her shoulders drop like a debt shrank. But Dawn still wants something. I'll pay her, I say. Cash. 3,000, tonight. Marta shakes her head. It isn't only cash. You tested your blood. You made a machine of them. You want to balance? Undo the test. How do you undo a thought? I ask. Greer closes the ledger, flattening its old rules with her palm. With a rule of your own. We keep ours in our mouths. She looks at me like she's measuring whether I can carry weight I asked for. Say it, she tells me. Not the 6, the other thing. I understand before I admit it. Saying things makes roads, yes, but some roads lead back. I won't test them again, I say, my voice trying very hard to be a door. I won't write names with amounts. I won't say the 6. The annex listens the way a room can. From the printer, a reluctant chit. One last slip, small as a receipt for gum. Heard. The one ring comes, then thinks better of it. Midnight loosens its jaw. The clock reads 12:04 like nothing happened. Greer rehangs the ledger on its nail. Marta sets a mug of anise tea by my elbow, like she was always headed there. I take a sip. It tastes like licorice in survival. Dawn still wants something. Marta repeats, softer. Bring truth with you when you come back. What time? Is dawn? I ask. Greer's mouth almost smiles. Earlier than you want, later than you think. I slide the waxed notebook back into the drawer, the red seal tacky under my palm. The printer sleeps. The phone pretends it's honest. The numbers. That won me a fortune line up behind my teeth like teeth. I keep my mouth closed, and the annex keeps breathing for now. By 12:10, the annex remembers how to be a building. AC coughs. Fluorescents whine. The wall clock drags its seconds like a bad ankle. The printer sulks with its green LED steady, and the rotary hangs there like it never learned to lie. Greer slides, the spiral ledger back toward me and flips to the next page. The handwriting changes. Older ink, deeper grooves, like someone carved the rule with weight instead of pens. Rule 4. Never open a red-sealed envelope after midnight. If it needs wax. To arrive, it needs blood to leave. Marta makes a face. Ugly rule, she says, like she's tasted it before. The lobby door whispers on its hinges. We all turn because nobody normal comes in at 12:11 unless the night pushed them. A man in a gray suit walks to the glass with the careful posture of someone who expects the building to be watching. He isn't wet, but he brought weather with him. Cold air and that pennies plus burned paper scent turned up a notch. He carries a long envelope in both hands, sealed with red wax, stamped into a small triangle so deep you can feel it with your eyes. He doesn't smile. He rests the envelope on the stainless shelf under the pass-through and taps it once with a knuckle, knock, 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 Pause, knock, polite, practiced, evening, I say through the glass. We're closed for cash-outs. Appointments start at 8. I have an appointment with whoever answers after midnight, he says, voice lobby smooth, vowels too clean. He tilts the envelope so the triangle gleams. This belongs to Mr. Hale. Hearing my name from a stranger at that hour moves something stupid inside my chest. Greer's hand lands on my forearm. Light. Enough. We don't accept sealed items after hours, she says, each word borrowing authority from a rule she didn't show him. Come back at 8. The man doesn't argue. He angles his head like a listening dog, like he's letting the room answer for us. It's lighter than it looks, he says. Just sign for it. Say you received it, and it will stop asking. Don't sign for things I don't open, I tell him. That's where we agree, he says gently. Don't open it. His eyes move to my mouth in a way I'm learning to fear. Just say the 6 so I know it's you. The phone gives a single ding in the wall, too shy to be a ring. The printer stirs, chit, chit, and then waits, as if timing breath to his request. Greer slides the ledger closer, taps the next line, with a bitten nail, Rule 5. Never answer a one-ring call after midnight. One ring is not a phone. It's a prompt. I keep my hands visible on the counter. We're not that office, I say. We don't verify numbers at the window. You're the annex, he says, approving like I performed a line. Basement with bad lights, red, stamp, printer that thinks. You're exactly the office. His gaze settles on my printer like he recognizes an old pet. It's shy tonight. From the hallway, Marta's cart squeaks once and goes still, her way of making presence without becoming a target. She whispers something I can't hear to the vending machine. The coil stirs and decides against cruelty. The man taps the envelope. Again, 331, and slides it an inch toward the pass-through gap. The wax triangle throws a small shadow that doesn't match the lights. Midnight likes clean chains of custody, he says. Don't break this one. Doorways, Greer murmurs without moving her lips. Don't stand in them. I realize my hip is half blocking the pass-through. I step fully back. The man watches the adjustment like it's a confession. Mr. Hale, he says. My name. Again, soft as a file working a lock. You tested them. He doesn't make it a question. You wrote names with amounts. You said words you shouldn't say. The ledger noticed. Behind me in the drawer, my notebook hums once and goes shy. Take the envelope, he says, or she pays 3 by dawn. Who? The word arrives before caution does. He looks toward the hallway where only the janitor's cart shows. He doesn't say Marta. He doesn't have to. The printer obliges him. Chit. A narrow strip. Pressed letters. Stark. Martha Ortiz. 3000. Due by dawn. Marta's breath fogs the glass from the far side of the door she isn't standing in. Ugly rule, she repeats. Quieter. Red wax, Greer says, almost to herself. It wants to borrow our mouth to break its own seal. I put my hands flat on the counter and don't touch the envelope. The triangle looks wet. It isn't. The smell brightens, pennies sharpening till my tongue itches. Read the destination, the man suggests, as if helping me cheat on a test. Just the line. Say you received it and we're done. You can leave it, I say. I'll log it without opening. Will you? He asks. Write Evan Hale. Received. His smile touches nothing. Names and amounts share a gravity. Names and verbs, too, if you sign them. He tips his head at my red seal like he recognizes the tin. You made promises in ink. Try wax this time. The phone one rings and stops, and this time it is my father's voice bleeding through the wall behind the dial. Son, this is responsible. Sign for what's yours. My mouth warms with the 6 like a bad memory. I look at Greer. She's already moving. She drags a thick red line of wax across the pass-through lip, left to right, a seal drawn on air, the way you'd mark a threshold you don't want a story to cross. The air over the red blurs, heat without heat. The envelope stops like a dog, at an invisible leash. The man's hand doesn't come with it. He exhales, amused. House tricks, he says. I respect local practice. Marta edges closer, stays out of the doorway, and holds up a small tin of table salt like it's a relic. Roads hate sand, she says, and pinches a constellation along the wax line. The printer, offended, prints another. Heard. The letters. Press deep, then lighten, as if someone behind the paper second-guessed their own order. The man glances at the clock that can't make the room obey it. Dawn will want something, he says, echoing Marta's earlier shape with my name's cadence. Bring truth or bring equivalence. Either pays. He withdraws the envelope an inch. The triangle cools to a normal, ugly red. We open at 8, I tell him, because I need a sentence that isn't about debt. Midnight opens whenever it's hungry, he says, and sets the envelope down on his side of the shelf. He taps the triangle once more, 331, and that sound runs down the pass-through, hits the wax line, and dies. We'll try again. He leaves without turning his back, reflecting the room back at us with his teeth. The scent ratchets down in clicks. The AC dares a breath. The printer looks innocent. The envelope waits on the other side of the glass like a sleeping knife. Greer opens the ledger to a blank page, sets her pen down, and doesn't write. Rule 6 is personal, she says after a beat. You'll have to make it. She nods at my locked drawer. What you started with those names. If you want the house to hold Marta, you bring this place a different math by dawn. I know what she means before I want to. Truth is heavier than money, and Dawn is rude about exact change. Marta wipes a circle of fog off the glass with the side of her hand and manages a grin that puts bones back under me. Coffee? She offers. Bad coffee beats bad visitors. Make. It too, I say. The phone doesn't ring. The envelope doesn't move. The 6 numbers wait behind my teeth like a road with mile markers and no exits. I keep my mouth shut. The annex keeps breathing. And somewhere between now and first light, I have to decide what I'm willing to pay in a currency that isn't money. The envelope sits on the shelf like a sleeping knife. The red triangle in its wax looks freshly bled, though it hasn't moved since the man left. The air has stopped tasting like pennies, but the flavor waits, thin, metallic, as if my tongue is a battery someone forgot to pull. Greer closes the pass-through with the steel slide and lays the spiral ledger between us. She doesn't write. She waits. Marta leans her elbows on the cart, careful to keep one sneaker out of the doorframe. He said Dawn wants something, she says. Truth or equivalence? I can take the second one. Don't worry. No, I say too fast. My voice knocks the room. You won't pay for a problem I built because I wanted data. The word tastes stupid out loud. Greer's eyes settle on me the way a level settles on a bubble. Rule 6 is personal, she repeats. House rules buy a general peace. Your rule buys her. I look at the drawer that holds my notebook. It hums once, shy. I take a breath and speak like I'm standing on black ice. Rule 6. Don't test your blood. If you do, tell them before sunrise. I don't look at Marta when I say it. I look at the ledger as if the paper is what needs convincing. And if you borrowed faith, return truth, not money. The annex listens, not with ears but with pressure. The AC holds its breath, then gives it back. The printer remembers it has a job and chit-chits a narrow strip heard. Good, Marta says softly. She nods me toward the hallway. Start paying. I step out from behind the glass. The fluorescents rattle like they resent my decision. I stop at the threshold and remember doorways are math too. I change my angle, skirt the jam, and end up standing under the bad news TV where the anchor smiles through a loop of other people's problems. Marta, I say, turning to her. Saying her name feels like putting a hand on a brittle thing you love. I lied. I asked my sister and father and cousin for $5,000 to see who would help me, and I wrote their answers like scores. I told myself I was protecting myself. Was making a machine. I wrote your name too. I swallow. The 6 numbers congregate behind my teeth like a crowd that wants to be a parade. I lock my jaw. I told myself if I ever asked, you would give. 3. She doesn't flinch. She nods like someone who has taught 42nd graders how to line up without killing each other. I know how you people look at me, she says, not unkind. Invisible until you want kindness. It's okay. It's not, I say. And there's more. Greer's glance flicks past my shoulder to the rotary. It keeps its mouth shut. I wince anyway. I won. Marta's eyebrows say the word before her mouth does. Won. What? Everything, I say, and realize how ugly that sounds. I won the lottery 3 weeks ago, with 6 numbers that are living wrong in my head. I told no one. I started the test to see who my family was before money changed the shape of their mouths. I made notes. I point, not to the drawer with the notebook, but to my sternum. I made a road here, and the printer learned to drive. Silence isn't the absence of sound in the annex. It's a pressure change. The phone gives a small, disappointed ding and doesn't ring. The printer thinks it over and lays a delicate slip on the tray like a fortune cookie apology, truth received, partial. I don't know whether to feel relieved or insulted. Marta's grin has edges, but it's real. Claro, she says, you are a man. Partial honesty is a hobby. She touches my forearm. Her fingers smell faintly of bleach and star anise. It's big what you told, but you know the ledger wants you to tell the wrong people. Me knowing buys half. The rest is my family, I say. Or, Greer says, voice flat, you bring the house equivalents, something that matches the shape of what you took. You took safety with a lie. Return safety with a truth that costs. My phone glows in my pocket like a thing that thinks it's a friend. I pull it out and stare at Dad on my favorites. At Lisa, at Jason, who won't pick up. Calling them at 12:38 is its own sin. Answering a 1 ring is Rule 5's trap. Placing a call isn't. But some tricks aren't in the book because they're obvious. Midnight makes echoes. I picture my father's voice coming out of the annex wall like a talking bruise. I picture my sister's breath arriving from the printer slot. I pocket the phone. Not them first, I say. The debt wrote your name wrong. We all look at the slips on the counter. Martha Ortiz, 3,000, due by Dawn. Marta snorts. It always does that. People add an H, so I sound easier to say. She reaches for the strip, stops her hand an inch short, remembering promises in ink and wax. Names are not small, she says. Fix it. How? I ask. If I write, I make another promise. Use your mouth, Greer says. That's where you built the road. That's where you break it. I take the strip carefully by its corners and hold it up like an insect I don't want to kill. I speak slow so my tongue won't panic and try to take the 6 on a walk. You spelled her wrong, I tell the room, the annex, the idea. Marta, no H. She is not Martha. She is Marta. If you're going to take someone, you use the right name or you don't take at all. The room doesn't answer with sound. It answers with weight. The strip warms. The indentation lifts. Martha smearing, Ortiz holding, 3,000. Trying to stay. The misspelled H unlatches like a thorn leaving skin. The letters settle again. Marta Ortiz, 3,000, due by dawn. The smell brightens and then falls like a pan taken off a burner. Marta exhales. It shakes. The printer purrs, jealous, and spits another slip, timed like a clap. Correction accepted. Due still owed. Half, Greer says. You made the ledgers agree. Now you pay them something they can't eat. I'm not saying the 6, I tell the Rotary, which is perhaps pettier than brave. Good boy, Marta says. Now call your sister. I shake my head. She'll try to help by budgeting me. I put a hand over my chest where Rule 6 is trying to become a habit. No, I'll show this place truth. That's a currency. I unlock my drawer and slide out the notebook I should have burned. The red wax I stamped across Marta would give if asked. 3K has set hard as a scab. I flip to the first page, the first name plus amount I wrote in vanity. Debt is 0. I set the book on the counter. I'm not asking him for anything again, I tell the room. He doesn't owe me money. I don't owe him proof. I owe you this. I won't use their names as weights anymore. I look at Marta. And, I owe you the part that costs me. My throat goes tight. I'll put your name on the trust I built to hide mine. A salary that doesn't say charity. Keys that open locks without my name on them. You won't have to push this cart when your knees hurt. And if you say no, I will still pay your rent till you say stop. That won't fix the lie, but it will make safety. And that's what I stole. Marta blinks fast. The bleach on her hands smells sharper because there's water in her eyes. Safety, she repeats, like she's tasting whether the word is food. The printer chits one small, shy slip. Equivalence. Acceptable. Bring proof. By dawn. Greer nods once, priestly. Paper loves paper. Draft it. Don't write names with amounts. Write rolls with rights. I push the ledger aside and pull a blank claim form from the stack. Not for a winner. For a vendor. There's a box for authorized party. There's a line for scope. There's nowhere for amounts unless you force it. I don't. I write, Annex Night Safety Officer, M. Ortiz. Scope, keys, access, hours of choice, health plan, training budget, hazard differential, authority to refuse unsafe instruction, vacation bank, overtime veto. The pen races like it's glad to be used for something that isn't a knife. I sign with a roll, not a name. I leave the dollar boxes empty. The red seal waits. I heat it with my thumb until the wax goes pliant and press it to the bottom right. The stamp takes. The triangle doesn't look like the triangle from the envelope. Ours is ugly in the good way. Uneven. Human. The annex tilts, infinitesimal, like a debt shifted its weight from one foot to the other. The rotary one rings and quits, tempted to steal the moment. We don't answer. The envelope on the shelf sweats nothing. The printer makes its neat. Little sigh and gives me the last slip of the hour. Due reduced, 1/500. Truth balances the rest. Sunrise will check. Marta laughs through her nose. Of course, she says. It likes to keep a tab. Greer looks at the clock. 1:06. You started the payback. Dawn will want to audit. She pushes the envelope's shadow with her knuckle. Nothing moves. We hold, we watch the doorways, and you keep your mouth off roads. I tuck the signed roll under the glass for the morning supervisor with a note that doesn't say Marta, only file at open. No amounts, safety first. The red seal shows like a warning bruise. The annex breathes. The number road behind my teeth presses its nose to the fence and doesn't jump it. 3 knocks, 331, arrive from somewhere we aren't, polite as always. The AC answers with a hum that says, we are still inside the right math. We stand inside it and wait for the next bad idea to find us. The annex likes to pretend nothing happened after 1 o'clock. The fluorescents whine, the AC breathes, the bad news TV loops a smile. The envelope waits on the other side of the pass-through like a knife sleeping point-up. My signed roll for Marta, Annex Night Safety Officer, M. Ortiz, sits under the glass, the red seal gone dull as it cools. The printer wakes with a prim little chit and offers a strip like a summons. Audit. Bring proof to window C, 2:44 a.m. Greer tilts the spiral. Ledger flips a page I haven't seen yet. The rule is cut deep enough to catch your fingertip, Rule 7. Never stand in a doorway when the ledger turns. Doorways are math. They count you. Marta's mouth pinches. Window C is a doorway that forgot its manners, she says. It thinks it's a mouth. We'll go early, Greer decides. Beat the time so it has to wake instead of hunt. She pockets the wax, palms a plastic deli cup of salt, and taps the ledger with one nail. Mouth closed, Mr. Hale. No roads. We slide the steel panel on the pass-through down and latch it. I skirt the jam like it's a sleeping dog. The rotary gives a hopeful one ring as we cross the lobby. Nobody answers. The smell of pennies plus burned paper waits like weather at the end of the hall, and then thinks better of it. The corridor to records kinks left, narrows, and pretends not to. Be a throat. Posters peel, play responsibly, winners' stories. The 331 knock arrives from inside the cinder block. Knock, 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 pause, knock, polite as always. Greer answers with nothing but pace. Marta hums a bolero under her breath and keeps one sneaker outside each threshold as she rolls the cart, never letting both feet commit to any frame. Window C sits in a recess like it bit the wall and kept a chunk. The blind behind the glass is down. A brass slot at knee height waits like a grin. The counter is exactly the depth of my forearms and the height of my ribs, built to hold a person while it counts. Greer touches my shoulder blade, light, steering. "Stand back," she says. "Angle." She pours a soft salt arc along the floor where the recess begins. Grains tick the tile and glitter like paper stars. If it licks the salt. The clock down the hall insists it's 2:12. The printer in the annex, 30 feet and a right turn away. Chit-chits twice like a nervous cough. Then from the blind, a shape moves. Not a person, static like TV snow without the TV. It settles into the outline of a clerk we don't employ. Fingers press the blind and leave no dents. "Documentation?" a dry voice asks from nowhere and everywhere. It sounds like air passing through old file folders. "Roll authorization," I say, laying the form on the counter, but not sliding it into the slot. No names with amounts. Scope only. The blind breathes. The shape leans as if scenting. Amounts are numbers. Numbers are roads. "We're under a street closure," Marta says brightly, and taps the salt. A stamp I can't see thumps on the other side. The slot inhales. The edge of the form twitches, wanting to be swallowed. Greer lifts the wax tin, draws a thick red bar across the front lip of the slot. The air above the wax shimmers, heat without heat. Audit sees. Audit. "Doesn't eat," she says. The blind rises an inch. The static clerk's mouth is wrong, smiling until you notice it isn't. "Verification requires reading the 6 associated numbers," it says pleasantly. "For file integrity, I keep my teeth together like a door remembering it has hinges." "Not my job." "Say them and the roll is funded," the voice purrs. The smell of pennies comes back with interest. From the far end of the hall, a shoe appears first, then a crease of gray suit. The man from the annex, unhurried, hands empty. He stops just before the salt and admires it like a tourist. "Local. Customs," he says, almost tender. "Window C has good taste." He doesn't look at me. He looks at my mouth. "Mr. Hale, Dawn wants equivalence or truth. You brought one. Bring both and we all go home." "We'll go home without you," Marta says. She sets her palm on my forearm. Her fingers are warm from pushing the cart. "Show it proof." I take the pen and, keeping my wrist out of the recess, add 3 lines below the roll I already signed. Key issue log, grant, M.O., no amounts. Schedule authority, transfer, M.O., health plan, enroll, M.O., effective immediately. No dollars, no totals. Verbs, not sums. I press the page flat and slide one corner into the slot until the wax line kisses the paper. The paper stops like it hit a rule. On the other side, the stamp thumps again. 1, 2, 3 times, pause, 1, copying the annex's knock. When I draw it back, a ghost of ink shows through provisional, effective, audit at dawn. The static clerk sighs. The blind drops to half-mast, offended. The man in the suit tips his chin toward me, not unkind. "You owe truth to your blood," he says. "Window C can't accept it on their behalf." He's right. It makes me hate him more. Behind us, the rotary down the annex hall gives a hungry one ring. My father's voice rides the cinder block. "Son, be responsible." My sister's follows from somewhere lower, tinny, like it came from a label maker. "Just read me the numbers, Ev. and we'll budget together. Marta's grip tightens. Mouth closed, she says. Feet out of frames. The suited man smiles like a good clerk. You wanted data, Mr. Hale. Data has costs. Greer does the ugliest, safest thing I've seen her do. She takes the deli, cup, and throws a fat cascade of salt straight at the blind. It patters the glass, hisses against the wax line, and sticks where it should fall. The static clerk blurs, mouth slides out of alignment, and the window exhales a sticky glue smell, like old envelopes dying. House rule, Greer says, almost cheerful. Audits hate grit. The blind drops. The slot clacks shut. The hallway gives back a piece of ordinary sound. The printer down the way chit-chits a small, neat strip. Greer snags it mid-air as we retreat. Due reduced, 500. Bring truth to blood. Sunrise will check. See? Marta says, breathing out. Hates numbers, loves verbs. The man in the suit remains where he is, exactly at the line where doorway begins. He looks through me, past me, toward the annex that is pretending not to listen. 444, he says. Soft enough it might be what the hallway wanted to say. That's when the house blinks. Plenty of time to call your father. Plenty of time to say what you've been chewing. I hear the trap, even as the bait shines. Rule 5. A one ring isn't a phone, it's a prompt. Placing a call isn't the same as answering, but timing is math, too. Echoes carry at 444. No, I tell the hall, and the man, and my own traitor mouth. Truth on paper first, mouths later. We walk back the way we came. We don't stand in frames. The 331 follows, polite as a debt collector holding the door. In the annex, I slide into the chair beside the window, not in it, and draft 2 letters longhand on cheap white paper with no amounts. Dad, I won't ask you for money again. I won't give you tests to pass or fail. I won something I can't tell you about, yet. What I owe you is this. I'll stop using your name like a weight. I'll call in daylight to explain what I can. Lisa, I'm not a budget item. I'm your brother. I won't test you again. I'll call you when the sun is up. I sign with verbs. Won't ask. Won't test. Will call, and with a name that is just mine. I seal them with ugly wax, triangles crooked and human. No addresses. They're not for a mail system that eats. They're for a house that audits intention. The printer chits once, like a nod. Heard. The envelope on the shelf sweats nothing. The clock says 2:43. My jaw aches from not building roads. Marta pours us bad coffee, and it tastes like staying alive long enough to pay a bill that isn't money. Greer taps the ledger with one nail. Sunrise will check, she says. Make sure it finds you outside the doorway. The annex likes 2:30 the way a hunter likes shade. Everything looks normal. Nothing is. My letters sit on the counter. Ugly wax triangles, human and crooked. Dad, verbs, not sums. Lisa, brother, not budget. The roll sheet for Annex Night. Safety Officer M.O. waits under the glass, red seal dulling as it cools. The envelope with the neat triangle sleeps on the far side of the pass-through like a pet we refuse to adopt. The printer offers a prim chit, house blink, 4:44 a.m. Bring. It truth to blood, off-premises preferred. Marta reads it, then me. Off-prem, she says. Mailbox 2 blocks, blue and stubborn. Greer flips the ledger to a blank page and doesn't write. Doorways are math, she reminds. Frame your exits. If we go out, we don't stand in the mouth. We prepare, like we're packing for weather. Greer draws a red wax streak across the interior threshold. Waist high, air drawn left to right. The streak doesn't drip, it just is. A line the air agrees not to cross. Marta sprinkles salt under it in a soft arc that catches the fluorescent glare and turns it into a cheap constellation. I'm writing one more, I tell them. Shame a weight I can finally name. I pull fresh paper and, with my wrist out of the Windows frame, scrawl, Jason. I won't be your lender or your lesson. I won't test you again. If you need help, I'll listen in daylight. If you want money, don't call. I sign with verbs I can live inside. No numbers. I seal with ugly necessary red. The wax triangle cools like a heart that decided to keep doing its job. At 3:11, the rotary gives a coy one ring. The voice that breathes out has my mother's concern perfectly ironed, then scorches at the edges. Honey, say them once so I can check. It's only 6. The printer stirs and spits a sliver, prompt, as if it's proud of itself. I don't answer. I put a salt pinch on my tongue and let it remind me I am not a telephone. The envelope tries a new trick. It slides a thumb's width toward the pass-through under its own private gravity and stops dead at the wax line like the air put its hand out. The triangle's shadow is too sharp for this light. Hungry, Marta says. She bumps the steel, panel down to close the pass-through, then stops with a 1-inch gap, a mouth that almost learned a word and then forgot it. Not closed, not open, teaching it confusion, she says. We make time by pretending we have it. Greer walks the corridor and knocks back at the walls. Knock, 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 pause, knock, as if to teach the house its own rhythm. The house hums, grudgingly at first, then with a tone you can feel in the hinges of your jaw. Kara used to do that, she says, soft. Before the house took her vowels. She doesn't look at me. She looks at my mouth. Don't let it learn yours. At 4:20, the printer chit-chits, 2 quick strips. Window C, sated equivalence pending. Mailbox, Marta says. Truth wants to go walking. We stage the exit like a spill drill. Greer drags a second wax streak along the outside jamb before we open the door, doubling the line so the frame becomes a ladder with 2 red rungs. Marta dusts a salt runway over the threshold, a thin white road leading out to the lobby and then to the street. Roads hate other roads, she says. Make it count the crystals if it tries to count us. Stay angled, Greer adds. No, one stands centered. Doorways are math. We move. I carry the letters on a clip like they might leap. Greer keeps the salt. Marta shoulders the empty cart like it could be a shield if we needed to believe in something. The lobby breath changes. At 4:43, a vacuum daydreaming about work. My skin hears the time before my eyes see it. The clock refuses to help. 44 doesn't arrive. It happens. The fluorescents go mute without going dark. The TV holds the anchor's smile like a mask someone forgot to lower. The vacancy neon outside, visible through the building's front glass, freezes mid-flicker into one long red vowel. Then the annex uses every surface as a mouth. From the cinder block, my father's voice, exactly, sanded down to obedience. Son, it says, like a sentence with 6 beats waiting after it. From the aluminum of the doorframe, my sister's helpfulness with the edges sharpened. We can do this together. The numbers stand up in my head, hands clasped like school children ready to cross. I keep my teeth touching like a door with well-oiled hinges and walk sideways through the frame, following our salt road out into the lobby and then the night. The city at 444 is a polite apocalypse. Nobody, nothing. All the sounds put in a drawer. The sky is the color of a nickel chewed. 2 blocks down, the blue mailbox waits under a sodium streetlight, paint flayed in a square where too many flyers tried to stick. He's there before we are. Of course he is. Gray suit, hands folded, stationing himself exactly where the light has nothing useful to say. He nods at our red streaks, at the salt, like we're colleagues at different desks of the same ugly office. Off premises, he says, approving. Good practice. His eyes rest on my letters like they are on trend. Truth to blood, then. Truth to mail, Marta corrects, cheerful like a teacher moving a child's hand out of a fan. She wheels the cart so the mailbox door is open before we're centered in its mouth. Angles. Always angles. I put Dad in first. The slot resists, the way old steel does when it remembers being a weapon. The envelope goes with a dry shuck, like a snake leaving a skin. Lisa kisses the edge of the slot and disappears. Jason hesitates, then slips, the wax dragging just enough to feel like a signature. There's no fanfare, no angels. The mailbox hums once, hollow iron remembering it used to guard secrets, and keeps being a box. The streetlight sizzles like it's cooking a fly. Behind us and ahead, the world decides it wants sound back. A car far away. A refrigerator compressor in a deli that shouldn't be on. Somewhere on a rooftop, a small, mean bird declares itself against everything that isn't. Dawn. The man in the suit doesn't move. He watches the little red triangles disappear into civic machinery. Paper loves paper, he says, like prayer. Dawn will accept the deposit. Then we're done, I say. And because I'm tired of being gentle with my own cowardice, I add, with you, he tips his head toward the annex. With me? He is a grin without teeth. You never were with me, Mr. Hale. You were with Rhodes, and Rhodes love numbers. He says numbers like an invitation and a dare and a dessert. I give him nothing. I turn. We walk the salt road back toward the annex, exactly the way we came. Exactly wrong for a story that likes to own your back. At the building's front glass, Greer touches my sleeve. Eyes, she says. The envelope that had waited on the pass-through isn't on the pass-through anymore. It sits inside, on our side of the steel, red triangle turned toward us like a priest's ring. The steel panel is still down with its 1-inch mouth. We didn't open it. It opened itself by the thickness of a story slipping between rules. The red wax looks wet. It isn't. The smell of pennies comes back in a neat wave, like someone remembered to perfume their apology. The printer's green LED throbs once. Chit. A slip drops and flutters against the counter like a moth. Sunrise. Check. 5:57 a.m. Envelope. Open on dawn. Marta mutters a word I don't know and don't need translated. Greer sets the ledger down and opens it to the first page so the rules can look at each other and remember they're a family. I stare at the triangle and consider. My mouth like it's an instrument I don't deserve to play. Rule 4, I say. Never open red sealed after midnight. Dawn is after midnight. The rule leaves air for arguments. Dawn is a different jurisdiction, Greer says. Same court, new bailiff. She touches the wax line on the interior jamb. It's cooled to a dull brown. We redraw. We bring equivalence. You brought letters. We bring truth. You brought verbs. She nods at the envelope. We don't give it roads. We don't give it mouth. And if Dawn wants theater, we make it work for applause. Can I just not? I ask. Because cowardice deserves to be said aloud once before you make it stop. You cannot, Marta says. But it will open something. Choose which. We step sideways back over our wax and salt into the annex that is trying very hard to be a building and not a thought experiment. The printer waits. The rotary behaves. The envelope does nothing at all except be more than paper. The clock says 5:19. The quiet between now and 5:57 stretches out like a promise that forgot its end date. We sharpen our rules, redraw our lines, and stand at a respectful angle to every mouth in the room. Somewhere beyond the cinder block, the horizon puts its hand on the dimmer and tests the light. We treat 5:57 a.m. like a courtroom time. The annex feels it coming the way a building feels thunder. Pressure first, then memory. Prep looks like superstition until you remember its math. Greer redrags a red wax streak across the inside. Jam, second rung on our ladder. Marta refreshes the salt runway over the threshold and adds a thin circle on the floor well away from any frame, a bad halo big enough to work inside. We borrow the oscillating fan from the break room and point it past the table. Not at the envelope, not at us, so air has somewhere to go that isn't a mouth. The envelope sits on the table inside the salt ring. Red triangle, glossy as a fresh. Scab. We set no chairs. Standing makes your spine remember rules. Greer eases the steel pass-through panel down to a 1-inch almost and leaves it. Confusion is safe, she says. Mouths that can't decide don't bite. The printer gives. A single pre-dawn chit sunrise. Audit. Proof of truth. Proof of equivalence. No roads. Paper loves paper, Marta says, approving our bundle. The roll sheet for Annex Night Safety Officer, M.O., our ugly wax letters, verbs, no amounts, my notebook with its shame pulsing under a red scab of wax, and the tiny slips where the house wrote, heard, in a voice that isn't a voice. We keep the ledger open to Rule 1 like a Bible. Never say the 6. At 5:56, the fluorescents turn the color of regret, and the vacancy neon outside holds one long red note. The bad news anchor on mute smiles in a way that looks like a cramp. Papu, Annex inhales. Dawn isn't softer than midnight, it's more exact. The room empties of sound and then gives one piece back. A far truck, a refrigerator click, a bird trying out its throat. The air over the red triangle wavers like heat above a road. Open, Greer says, not to the envelope, to me. Without opening, make it ours first. We don't break seals here, we counter-seal. Greer presses our ugly triangle stamp into the red scab so the house's mark sits on top of the visitors, triangle over triangle, human over neat. The wax gives like pebbled skin, then sets, imprinting our geometry into its geometry. I take the letter opener and slide it into the side seam, not the mouth. The blade whispers through cheap paper. I keep my wrists outside the salt circle's edge. The envelope relaxes a millimeter, like it wanted to sigh and remembered it wasn't alone. I tip it and let gravity do the sin. A stack of carbon cards. Slides out, blue-black like bruises. We don't touch them all at once. The top card is pressed, not printed. Letters sunk like teeth marks. Sunrise audit. Account. Hail. Evan promises issued, names withheld. Truth remitted, letters mailed. Verbs. Role authored, scope. Name corrected, Marta, Martha. Equivalence. Credit. Partial balance. Due. Voice no numbers. Just the word that wants to live in my mouth. Of course, Marta murmurs. It doesn't want money. It wants mouth. The next card pushes the point. Payment options. A. Speak the 6 associated numbers. Prohibited. B. Provide voice sample. Acceptable to House C. Default to blood. Unacceptable. B, I say, and realize saying even that is a road if you let it be. We give it voice that isn't mine. What speaks for the house? Greer asks, already knowing. The printer is a mouth that learned manners. The 331 knock is the annex's pulse. We feed it what we can without tasting it. I set a blank. Thermal slip half into the printer tray and lay the sunrise audit card on top of the envelope so it sees us seeing it. Greer taps the counter, knock, 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 pause, knock, tapping through the card, through the table, into the old concrete. Marta swings the fan past the pile so the room has a breath that doesn't come from any of us. The printer wakes Chit, hesitates, Chit again, and then prints a single word it loves, heard. The red triangle softens a shade, like a hard jaw unclenching. The top card takes a new indent all by itself. Voice received, house. The smell of pennies edges up, testing boundaries. The rotary gives a hopeful 1 ring and then thinks better of it. From the carbon stack, a third card slides forward like a tongue. Confirmation. No roads. Auditee to remain silent for duration of audit. House may sample room tone. I close my teeth and let the room talk. The fan hisses. The bird insists. The building's veins hum. The 331 taps repeat. Greer, then the wall answering itself. My own voice stays a loaded weapon I don't unholster. The carbon warms under my fingers without being touched. New letters press themselves. Balance. Settled admonition. Do not teach house your nickname. Addendum. Local. Rule 8. Never let the house learn your nickname. Greer's mouth almost smiles. Good. It wrote it down. She pens Rule 8 into the spiral ledger while the house has the courtesy to pretend it didn't steal it first. We go 1 card deeper, because curiosity is also a currency, and we never stop paying it. This one is a register. Ledger returns. Dad, 0, void. Lisa, 0, void. Jason, 0, void. Marta, 3,000. Credited, truth, 2,500. House voice, 500. Window C, sated. Envelope, counter sealed. The numbers on Marta's line mean something without making a road. They don't ask me to say them. They sit there like a sheet balanced, not hungry. Marta exhales, shaky and pleased. See? Verbs have weight. 1 more card remains. It feels heavier, though it shouldn't. The indent is careful, like writing done with gloves. Notice, the 6 associated numbers remain on file. Do not say them. Do not write them with your name. Do not hum their sum. Cute, Marta says. It thinks of humming now. Because men hum when they want to cheat, Greer says, and looks at me like she's seen men before. I put the stack back into the counter-sealed envelope and slide the letter opener through the side again, closing without sealing. Tidying without making a mouth, the red triangle stays proud. Our ugly triangle sits on top of it like a hat that doesn't match. The printer spits one last neat slip, timing it with a bird outside that has decided to exist. Sunrise check, passed. Jurisdiction. Day shift, the room gives back its ordinary. Fluorescents with their insect hymn, AC's breath, the TV pretending it's for people. Through the glass, the sky graduates from nickel to bruise to a pallid blue. The red of vacancy. Remembers how to blink. The envelope is no longer an animal. It's paper again. Thick with things we already read, we clean like it matters. Salt swept toward the mop, wax lines scored and peeled like old sunburn. Greer closes the ledger with two hands, reverent as a medic with a pulse. Marta tucks the fan under the desk and leaves a mug of Annie's tea where my right hand will find it without looking. I look at my mouth in the dark reflection on the glass and count my luck with no numbers. I still own this voice. I didn't pave any roads with it today. From the far hall, the 331 knocks arrive one more time. Polite, not hungry. The annex answers with its low, satisfied hum. Day's coming, Greer says. Now we pay the last cost. What's left? I ask, and taste salt instead of copper. You call your blood, she says. In daylight, with verbs. And if you can stand it, you don't say anything the house could eat. I nod. My letters are already walking toward them in a blue box under a mean bird. My rules are already heavier than my habits. The annex keeps breathing. So do we. And Dawn, satisfied for now, lets go of our names. Day doesn't feel like safety. It feels like the same test with different proctors. The annex gives back its ordinary. Fluorescents with their insect hymn, AC breathing like a tired dog, the bad news anchor smiling through other people's endings. The envelope is just paper again, counter-sealed. We filed it in a banker's box that looks like a coffin for ideas. Jurisdiction passed today, Greer says, closing the spiral ledger with two palms like blessing the altar. House still listens. It just prefers to audit instead of hunt. She taps the open page where Rule 1 lives. Never say the 6. Keep your mouth off roads. Marta rolls the cart toward the supply closet, pausing to set a mug of Annie's tea where my hand knows to find it. Call them, she says. Son. Ask for truth to blood in daylight. Give it verbs. I take my phone outside because the annex has ears. Sunlight is the one eavesdropper that doesn't make a copy. The automatic doors stutter like they'd rather stay lips. The morning is nickel bright and windless, the vacancy neon across the ye, street blinking like it has a stutter. I call Dad from the curb, my back to the building, my shadow not touching the threshold. He answers on the second ring with a voice I recognize as his, not the annex's. Earthier, a little wheeze from too much coffee. Evan? Yeah. Daylight, I say first, a rule inside a greeting. I'm calling to say a few things. I won't ask you for money again. I won't test you again. I did, and it was wrong. I'm sorry. I'm okay. I'll be fine. I'll call you on Sunday to visit. He's quiet long enough for me to hear whatever he's not saying. What are you into? He asks finally, suspicion's old scar. Some scheme? No schemes. I keep verbs between us like posts in a fence. I wrote your name down where I shouldn't. I'm done writing names like weights. That's the call. He tries to slide in a budget lecture out of habit. I let him have 3 sentences and then take my turn. Love you, I say, and it costs me something and pays something else. Sunday, he says, and hangs, up like a man who wants to keep a last word even if it has no numbers in it. My phone stays warm in my hand. The annex printer back inside obliges with a distant chit like a stamp heard through walls. When I walk back to the window, a skinny slip waits on the tray. Truth delivered. Credit applied. Blood hail. No amounts. Just a ledger with a temper. Learning to accept verbs. Next, Lisa. I call from the bus stop bench because benches are not doorways. They don't count you. She answers bubbly, already filling me with solutions I didn't ask for. Spreadsheets, budgets, apps. We can do it together, she says, bright. I'm not a budget, I tell her, steady. I'm your brother. I won't test you again. I won something I can't talk about yet. I'm okay. I'll be fine. I love you. I'll bring dinner next week. Daylight, normal time. A beat. Then, okay, she says, like the word decided to trust me before she. Could pasta night? Pasta night, I say, and hang up before together turns into a ledger. Back inside, another slip. Truth delivered, credit applied, blood el hail. Admonition, do not let blood say the 6 on speaker. Cute, Marta says. It's learning phones. Day shift trickles in through the back entrance. Tate, who believes in laminators. Raina, who refuses to speak in any room with a smoke detector because they hear vowels. Danny, who hums when he's anxious. He hums now, a odd 6-beat loop before he catches himself. Greer claps her hands once sharp. No sums, she says, and Danny reddens like a child caught counting his candy. On the desk, a thick manila folder has been slid under the glass, no one admitting who carried it. The tab reads, Kara, in a hand that can only be called careful. Greer's jaw tightens. She opens it like a person straightening a shirt on a body. Inside, rule cards penned in 3 different inks. Polaroids that didn't finish being pictures, a map of the annex with doorways circled in red, the circles not touching frames, little halos like ours. A note on an index card. If it learns your face, it wears your vowels. Keep your face off the glass. C. Was this here yesterday? I ask. It shows up when it wants to be read, Greer says. She lays a Polaroid flat. The figure in it could be a woman if you squint. The mouth is a smear. The caption in block letters, don't let it learn your nickname. Our Rule 8 in a younger ink. Marta taps the map's north wall. Window B is bad at lunch, she says. It pretends to be a mirror. Don't put your face that close when you fix the sign. Got it, I say, setting my mouth in a neutral I can live with. The TV does the most obvious thing. The morning show throws up last night's drawing for filler. The anchor chirps the words, last night's winning numbers, and lifts a finger to count. I am already across the lobby, muting with a thumb like a man slapping a mosquito off a child. The graphic stays on screen, white balls with black ink, but without a mouth to pave the road, the numbers sit there like rocks. The printer offers a prim slip, visual. Okay, audio prohibited, do not hum the sum. Danny puts both hands on his pockets like they're hiding a metronome. I wasn't. Good, Greer says, and bangs a mug down on the counter. Knock, knock, knock. Pause. Knock. teaching the room its own heartbeat again. By 10, the annex starts pretending to be a DMV. 2 claimants. One woman with a scratcher who brought her grandson. He counts his fingers in 6s without knowing why. I slide a sticker across the glass. Cartoon owl. Use indoor voices. And Raina starts a story about owls that ends in no vowels. The boy blinks, confused, and decides to be fascinated with the stapler instead. At 11, a man with a badge that says State. Compliance liaison breezes in. Gray suit, no weather this time. Daylight adjusting his teeth to look like they grew here. He doesn't have the envelope. He has forms. Routine post-incident review, he says pleasantly to the room. And then, to me, Mr. Hale, a quick verification. I'll read you the 6 we have on file. You confirm, quietly. He taps the glass with one knuckle, 331, like a handshake in Morse. Greer's smile could slice fruit. We don't do numbers aloud, she says. Policy? He nods at the printer. Then print them while you watch my lips so you don't accidentally confirm. Marta rolls the cart between him and the glass. We have a form for you, she says, cheerful as a blade. She slides him the roll authorization with no amounts, red seal proud. We audit behaviors now, house past sunrise with compliments. The liaison's eyes rest on the triangle like it's an old friend he didn't expect to see in this neighborhood. Paper loves paper, he says, almost approving. We'll circle back at 11:59. He leaves the way he arrived, at an angle that makes doorways forget to count. The printer wakes and gifts us another neat strip. Midday Mercy, 11:59, 12:04. Closed. Rules hold. Lunch, Marta pronounces, like an absolution. We eat far from frames. We take our sandwiches to the far break room, the one with no windows, just a bad poster of a mountain that says, Persevere. We sit with our backs to cinder block that never learned to be a mouth, and we chew like it's a rule. Greer writes Rule 9 in the ledger from Kara's card. Never let the house collect a face, keep off the glass, and underlines it twice. My phone buzzes. Jason. 2. Missed calls, 1 text, bro call me, urgent. I don't open it. Daylight isn't a spell, it's just a different auditor. I'll call in the sun when I can afford the verbs. On the way back to the annex window, I pass the TV. It's muted. The numbers still sit there like stones. I look away before my mouth decides to pave anything. The clock coughs up 11:53. The vacancy neon blinks like a nervous tick. The annex adjusts its weight on its old bones. Greer drums 3-3-1 on the desk. Marta lines up a new salt cup and warms the red wax with her palm. Midday Mercy, Greer says. Then we get the ugly back. I test my teeth against each other and practice not being a road. The house, polite for now, hums along, waiting to see if we'll teach it something we can't get back. The clock chews up 11:56 like gristle. Midday Mercy, the printer promised. 11:59, 12:04. Closed, rules hold. It sounds like grace. Greer calls it a pause where the house can't learn, only test. We stage like superstition is math. Fresh, salt across thresholds, a red wax rung on each jam. The ledger sits open to Rule 1, never say the 6, and Rule 9, keep your face off the glass. Marta sets the fan to blow past us, not at us. Give the room a breath that isn't anybody's mouth. He shows at 11:58 on a dot. The clock didn't know it could draw. State Compliance Liaison, gray suit, day adjusted. He carries a clipboard with a mirror shiny back and a manila verification set. Routine noon audit, he says lightly, eyes on my mouth, then on the blind glass, trying to remember it's a window. Mr. Hale, I'll read silently, and you'll confirm the 6 by initialing under them. No speech required. He lays the top sheet flat. The numbers are there, black and round on white. He's careful. They're printed, not spoken. Ati. The bottom is a line for signature and, worse, a pre-printed Evan Hale block tag. Greer's voice finds its most pleasant knife. We don't place names on the same page as those numbers, she says. Policy. Initials, then, he offers. Easy. E.H. harmless, not even names. The printer chits a small prim strip before I can be proud of refusing. Admonition. Do not write your name on the same page as the 6. Also, do not sign with initials that mean your name. Marta's eyebrows climb. It's getting specific, she says, approving. The liaison slides the clipboard closer. I see what he wanted me to see. My face in the polished back, a faint mouth framed in the annex. Rule 9 whispers from the ledger, don't feed the glass a face. I angle my head so the mirror returns ceiling, not me. Fine, he says, not annoyed. He flips a second sheet, the 6 in a row, blanks underneath labeled Staff Confirmation. Count by check marks. No names, he says, smooth. Just 6 checks. Count like a man. Marta's tin of salt ticks the counter like small weather. No sums in this house, she says. We don't hum them. We don't tick them. The printer obliges with another strip. Do not count the 6 with marks, nods, or breath. Counting is a road. Roads are mouths you walk. He smiles without teeth. You people and your roads. 59 takes the room by the spine. The fluorescents go bright and then very steady, like they've decided to hold the building still. The TV freezes on a weather map that thinks color can predict behavior. The vacancy sign outside holds one red vowel and refuses to blink. Mercy, Greer murmurs. Rules hold. The liaison takes advantage. He sets a third page down. A pledge. I will not speak the 6 associated numbers. Read it, he says, and sign. Your mouth doesn't have to travel, your hand can. The line for name is a blank that looks hungry. I keep my hands visible and still. I don't sign prompts during mercy, I say, surprising myself with the sentence that arrives. He taps the glass with a 331 just to be petty. The sound doesn't carry into the room. Mercy sits on it like a fat cat on a keyboard. The clipboard angles. My reflection tries to be a person. I step back, off axis. Greer drags the red wax stamp across the counter between us, left to right, air-drawn line bright as a small wound. The mirror now shows a red bar across my mouth where a mustache would be. The liaison's eyes crease, amused. Local customs, he says again. I respect culture. Torset, our 1 becomes 12:03 without asking permission. The house holds its breath, and so do we. He tries a last trick. Places the first sheet, the one with those 6 in a polite row, under my speaker slot, then slides a sticky note on top. Just hum if they're right. Marta barks a laugh. Bold. The printer doesn't laugh. It prints do. Not hum the sum. Do not hum anything. See? Greer says brightly. Policy. At 12:04, the hold lifts like a hand off a throat. Sound comes back in a little rush. The AC resumes its job. The TV remembers to move the weather. A bus whispers by outside. Somewhere a distant cart squeaks like it has opinions. The liaison flips his clipboard over, using the mirror to glance past me, down the hall toward window B, the one Kara circled as bad at lunch. We'll circle back, he says softly. 11:59. Midnight likes people who try hard. He steps away at a polite angle that keeps him out of frames. As he goes, Danny veers past us, mouth ahead of head. Hey, Ev, you got that? My stomach drops through the floor. Marta's hand hits Danny's shoulder so fast it's almost slap, sugar in the tone to make the lesson go down. Evan, names are whole here, baby. Too late. The house heard the short one in a doorway. The printer chits with that awful, pleased neatness. Nickname sample. Accepted. Third party. Notice, house may address EV at midnight. Greer doesn't curse. She does something worse. She writes. In the ledger, under Rule 8, she adds a subclause in a blunt, stubborn hand. A. If a nickname enters by a third party, call the full name out loud immediately in daylight to displace it. No numbers, no doorways. She looks at me, days bright. And the annex isn't hunting, but my mouth feels like a loaded instrument. Say your whole name, she orders, outside the frames. I step into the lobby, past the threshold, turn my back to every jam, choose a piece of cinder block with no ambitions, and give the building a thing it can't eat. My name is Evan Hale. It cost me more than I like. Not Ev. The printer prints as if grading my homework. Whole name heard. Day. Midnight attempt still scheduled. Danny looks like a kicked dog. I'm sorry, Evan, he says, earnest, mouth trying so hard to be useful it shakes. Marta squeezes his arm. You helped, she lies for love. Now go eat not in a doorway. He obeys, taking his hum with him. We reset the counter like that fixes anything. Red wax line reapplied, salt refreshed, fan angled. The clipboard sits where he left it, mirror back up, thirsty for faces. I flip it over with a file folder so it can stare at paper instead of me. Greer opens Kara's folder again and pulls a Polaroid with a caption in block black. If it learns your nickname, it calls you by it to open the road. Marta blows air through her teeth. We built a detour, she says, not hopeful, just factual. We'll need more than verbs tonight. The rotary gives a coy one ring. The printer, without looking up, stamps a thin strip. Prompt, ignore. We ignore like it's a sacrament. The TV tries to serve the midday drawing graphic for B-roll. Reyna slaps the mute before sound, can pave anything. The vacancy across the street hiccups and remembers to blink. I draft 2 more verb letters because it helps to stack paper between me and what wants my mouth. One to Mom. I won't test. I'll call Sunday. One to myself. Don't pave roads with your voice. Don't sign under theirs. Don't be clever at 11:59. I seal them ugly and red and file the second where only I can trip on it, taped under the counter where my knee hits when I forget to be careful. At 2:07, the printer offers a neat, cruel appointment card. Collection attempt, 11:59 p.m. Method, vocal, addressee, EV countermeasure, whole name loop. Doorways closed, rule 1. Emphatic. Greer taps the ledger with a fingernail like a gavel. "We don't give it roads," she says. "We give it walls. And if it insists, we teach it a new rule." "What rule?" I ask, and the asking is ugly. "Because I want someone else's mouth to carry it." "Leave," she says, and lets the word sit there like a weapon I'm not ready to hold. "If it learns you, you step out of jurisdiction. That's the rule you write when you're ready to mean it." I look at the red seals, the salt, the ledger that has slowly become a person. I think about Marta's name, spelled right because we taught the house manners. I think about the nickname sitting in the wall like a seed. The annex hums under my feet. 3 to 3-1 taps travel down the cinder block like a memory rehearsing itself. I practice my whole name in my head without sound. I stand off the glass, out of frames, and keep my mouth closed like a door that wants to stay a door. Midnight is coming to ask me for a road. I am building a map of no. We treat 1159 like the last step before a broken stair. Everything is staged. Salt refreshed across thresholds. 2 red wax rungs on each jamb so every door is a ladder, not a mouth. The fan points past the counter to give the room a breath that isn't anyone's. The ledger is open to our spine. Rule 1, never say the 6. Rule 5, no one rings. Rule 7, don't stand in doorways. Rule 8, no nicknames. Rule 9, keep your face off the glass. Kara's map sits where we can see its little halos around bad frames. My whole name loop is ready in my chest like a heartbeat I can choose. The printer gives our summons with prim delight. Collection attempt, 11:59 p.m. Method, vocal. Addressee, EV counter. Whole name loop. Doorways closed. No roads. The rotary tries coy. 1 ring and stop. The annex hums, remembering both sides of every rule. Greer lines a red stripe across the pass-through lip, left to right, so the steel develops an allergy to mouths. Marta makes a salt circle on the floor well away from any frame and moves, my chair into it. "Stand in the circle," she says. "If it wants a mouth, it has to suck salt first." "Whole name only," Greer tells me, voice made of stone that learned to care. 3 times when it tries, then no more. Don't let it set a rhythm with you. I nod. I practice without sound. My name is Evan Hale. Verbs are walls, names are doors. I'll use mine like a key that locks. 59 happens. The fluorescents stop buzzing without going dark. The vacancy neon across the street holds 1 long red vowel. The TV freezes on a smiling anchor whose teeth have never met midnight, and then the annex learns the shape of my lazy name, Ev. From the cinder block above the printer, my father's timbre folded into the wall. "Ev, you there?" Ev. From the speaker slot, my sister's helpfulness, sanded down until it cuts. "We can do this together." The numbers stand up inside my skull, fingers linked, ready to cross. My tongue leans toward them like gravity is a voice. I stand off the glass, out of frames, in salt, and say the first brick in the wall. My name is Evan Hale. The 331 knocks come from somewhere we aren't. Polite as always. Greer answers with the same rhythm on the counter, teaching the room its pulse back. Ev. Softer, coaxing. "Just say them. It's only 6. The breath. Under the voice smells like burned paper and pennies. My name is Evan Hale. The printer chits a small, approving slip. Whole name heard. 1 to 3. Do not fall into rhythm. The wall tries again, a different mother from a different childhood. Ev, it's me, honey. Don't be dramatic. They're not clever, they're exact. My name is Evan Hale. The room tilts, infinitesimal, like a debt-shifting feet. The salt under my soles hisses a little as air moves wrong around it. The fan pushes breath past my ear so I remember which lungs are mine. The state compliance liaison steps into the lobby like Grace learned to laminate. Gray suit cleaned by daylight, clipboard mirror turned down. He doesn't speak. He taps the glass with a single knuckle, 331, and sets a pledge under the slot. I agree not to speak the 6 associated numbers. The blank line for name looks hungry. Marta slides the red wax tin along the slot's lip until the pledge can't decide which side of the world it's on. We don't sign prompts, she tells. The room, not him. He smiles without teeth. He looks at my mouth and says nothing. Mercy's gone. Rules still hold. The wall tries a new trick. It says the 6 like a lullaby with the vowels taken out, aiming for the hum that gets men caught. The TV, still muted, changes slides, white balls on blue like rocks that could become a road if someone paved them. Greer smacks the counter. Knock, knock, knock. Pause, knock, and the printer prints the only thing it loves, heard. The annex decides to bargain. The printer hums and spits a card with teeth marks pressed in. Alternate payment. Say, Ev wants. House will accept. It thinks names are change, Marta says. Disgust soft as mercy. I look at the liaison. He looks back like he's about to. Learn something he can't file. I don't bargain with a room. I look at the ledger and write the rule Greer said I'd need when I could mean it. My hand shakes and the pen doesn't. Block letters. Ugly and human. Rule 10. If the house calls. You by a name you didn't give it, leave. I set the pen down. I test the rule against the part of me that likes staying to win. I lose on purpose. Greer reads it, then nods like a jury who's seen this crime before. Jurisdiction is a rule, she says. Make a new one. We move like we practiced. Red streak on the outside jam, fresh salt runway, sideways through frames. I take the letters I wrote and the roll I signed for Marta and tuck them under my arm like proof of verbs. The liaison steps aside at an angle because theater knows when. It's being watched. Ev! The wall pleads as we cross the lobby. The sound hits the salt like rain on a tin roof and dulls. Ev! From the fan's grill, from the TV's bezel, from the screw heads in the doorframe. It knows part of my name. It wants a road. I give it the only thing I still own. My name. Is Evan Hale, I say, in the doorway but not centered. Heel toe across the wax rungs like a ladder I drew for myself. And I'm leaving. Outside, the air is the color of a nickel waking. The vacancy neon across the street blinks like it just remembered how. Marta is at my shoulder, cart abandoned. Greer is behind us with the ledger shut like a book that refuses to tell the next chapter to the wrong reader. The annex breathes out, a long, low hum that isn't defeat. It's a note pinned to the board for whoever lives here next. Inside, the printer gives a neat receipt we won't collect. Through the glass, we can see it land. Collection attempt. Failed balance. Settled. Today. Manual. Updated. The liaison stands inside with his clipboard pressed to his chest, mirror down. He nods once, not to me, to the house. "Local practice?" he says. "I respect jurisdiction," Marta laughs, tired and bright. "We write the rules," she says, and taps my shoulder like a bell. I don't quit with a speech. I quit with a note and a door. Back at my desk, before walking out for the last time, I tape a page to the back of the Nightshift locker where only the right kind of eyes will look. Ugly red triangles hold it at the corners. The printer, polite, prints heard and shuts up. The Annex Night rules. Read before you breathe. Never say the 6 numbers out loud. Never write a person's name and an amount on the same page. If a call rings once and stops, don't answer. Never open a red sealed envelope. After midnight, return what you borrowed or promised by sunrise. Don't test your blood. If you do, tell them before sunrise. Never stand in a doorway when the ledger turns. Never let the house learn your nickname. Keep your face off the glass. If it calls you by a name you didn't give it, leave. I sign with a roll, not a name. Night. Clerk, previous. Under that, one more sentence that isn't a rule. It's a road I refuse to pave. Numbers are roads. Your mouth is the asphalt. Don't build what you can't unwalk. I step sideways through the last frame I'll owe, past the wax rungs we drew, across our salt road to the morning. The house keeps breathing. So do we. When the rotary in the annex tries a 1 ring, it doesn't have a mouth big enough to reach me.